Wow, if you're in South India, you have just been through some absolutely wild weather. We're talking about those intense, sudden downpours that seem to come from nowhere. So, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down. What caused that deluge, what you can expect over the next 24 hours, and what the rest of the month might have in store.
So many of you, especially if you're in places like North Chennai, just got hit by an incredible burst of rain in a really short amount of time. It probably felt like it just appeared out of thin air. So the big question on everyone's mind is, why? What just happened?
All right, let's dive straight into the science behind this. It's actually a pretty fascinating meteorological event.
The main culprit here is something called wind friction. Now, what is that? Well, imagine two massive air currents slamming into each other head-on. In this case, we had a westerly wind coming from the land clashing with a moisture-packed easterly wind from the sea. That collision had nowhere to go but up. It forced all that sea moisture to shoot upwards, condense super quickly, and then just dump down as a sudden, intense downpour. It's almost like a cloudburst, and it's exactly why these events can cause such rapid urban flooding.
Okay, so what about the system that brought all this chaos? Where did it go?
You can kind of follow its journey right here. It made landfall, and as soon as it moved over land, it started losing its punch, which is pretty typical for these systems. It's now traveled all the way across the peninsula and is sitting as a much, much weaker circulation over the Arabian Sea.
But, and this is the key part, even though the main system has moved on, it's like it left its ghost behind. We call it remnant moisture. This leftover atmospheric moisture is still active enough to keep pulling in those easterly winds off the sea, and that's exactly why we're still expecting the rain to hang around for about 2 more days.
To really get a sense of the impact, let's just look at the sheer volume of rain that fell. The numbers are pretty staggering.
To really wrap our heads around how much rain we're talking about, let's zero in on some of the hardest hit spots in Tamil Nadu. The data, particularly from around Chennai, is just wow.
This chart says it all, really. In just 24 hours, Manali Putanagar got hammered with a massive 193 millimeters of rain. Right nearby, Vimko Nagar got 178, and Kadapakam saw 150. I mean, to put that into perspective, those are enormous amounts of rain to get in such a short window.
And this wasn't just isolated to those top 3 spots. The impact was felt all over. You can see other areas like Kathavakkam and Sathanagadu also got more than 100 millimeters. This tells us it wasn't just a tiny localized cloudburst, but a much bigger event that affected the whole region.
Okay, let's get to the part you're probably most interested in. What can you expect in your area over the next 24 hours? We're going to go state by state to break it all down for you.
First up, let's look at Tamil Nadu, which is still pretty much at the center of all this weather activity.
The forecast really depends on where you are in the state. If you're along the coast or in the southern districts, you should definitely brace for more widespread heavy rain and even some thunderstorms. Meanwhile, if you're more inland, you're looking at lighter, more scattered showers. All right, now let's hop over and see what the forecast looks like for neighboring Kerala.
So for Kerala, it's kind of a split story. The central and northern districts should get ready for some heavy rain, but down in the southern parts of the state, it's more likely you'll just see some lighter, more scattered showers.
Okay, now for the forecast in Karnataka. What's the story there?
Moving on to Karnataka, the general picture is widespread, light to moderate rain across the state, and that includes Bengaluru. The coastal areas, though, should be on alert for some more intense weather, with a pretty good chance of thunderstorms.
And finally, let's take a look at the outlook for Andhra Pradesh.
In Andhra Pradesh, you can think of the impact in tiers. Tirupati district needs to be on high alert for heavy rain. The surrounding southern districts will probably see more moderate spells, and then as you move further north, the rain is expected to get much, much lighter.
So, once this current spell of rain finally moves on, are we in the clear? What does the next week or so look like?
Okay, so here's the pattern to look out for. This rain we're seeing now, it's going to stick around for about 2 more days. After that, we should get a brief dry spell, which will be nice. But don't put those umbrellas too far away. After December 9th, it looks like conditions are going to be favorable for another round of rain along the coast.
And this all leads to the big question that a lot of you are probably thinking about. With all this activity, could we actually see another cyclone form this December?
You know, the honest answer is it's just too early to say for sure. But what we can say is that some of the long-range models are showing that conditions in the Bay of Bengal could become favorable for new disturbances later in the month.
It is absolutely not a guarantee, but is for sure something meteorologists are keeping a very close eye on.
Events like this are such a powerful reminder that our weather patterns are definitely changing. Understanding the why behind a sudden downpour really helps us all prepare for the what's next. So the biggest takeaway from all of this is to just stay informed, stay prepared, and most importantly, stay safe. Thanks for tuning in.